you, it's me, really. Hello, welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. So I do have a goat vlog for you today. I've had something come up with my goats that we've never had before, and it's actually relevant to a question that I have gotten a few times this past week, and that's, you know, why does my goat milk taste goaty? That's the question that I've been getting. And of course, these people don't mean why does my goat milk taste goaty. They want to know why their goat milk tastes goaty, but it turns out my goat milk just recently started tasting goaty. So there's a couple different reasons that goat milk can take on a goaty flavor or like a gamey flavor. And it is pretty upsetting, especially when it gets really, really strong. There's a couple reasons that it can come up, and there's a couple different ways that you can try to fix that. And so we're gonna talk about that today.
I accidentally broke a village thing. I was trying to scoop it apart, but I accidentally poured it again.
You made a garden on Minecraft?
Yeah, I made my own garden. And then there's a villager near my house, and I accidentally poured water on their crops.
Normally when I milk my goats, I use a machine. It's because I have problems with my elbow, and it really helps to alleviate the stress on my elbow to have the machine do the work. One of the reasons that goat milk can taste kind of goaty is if your milking equipment is not clean. I do my best to clean my milking equipment. I have something that I do every day, a routine that I do to clean my milking equipment every day. And then I have a deep cleaning that I do about twice a month. And doing all of the cleaning, all the extra cleaning, doesn't seem to have helped the flavor situation for our milk, so I don't think it's that. But I am going to hand milk today just to take that variable out of the equation. When you are milking, you really want to make sure that your vessels for the milk don't really have any seams where bacteria and things can hide. So stainless vessels that are seamless are the best, and you saw me put down some ice packs. The ice packs were washed before they were put in the freezer, so they're nice and clean, and as soon as the milk hits the ice packs, it's going to start to cool down quickly, which is also important for keeping the flavor of the milk at its optimum freshness and sweetness, because goat milk really is very sweet, especially when it's straight out of the goat. I'm going to be bringing down this drinking vessel with me because we are going to try each goat's milk straight out of the udder. Also, look at this gorgeous bouquet of zinnia that I picked. I had to show you. Good morning, girl. Are you ready to be milked? Hmm? Hey, kitties. How are you guys? Winnie, ma'am. You are such a turd. Come here. Come here. Winnie. So with the same cleanliness factor going into milking, you want to make sure your hands are clean. You want to make sure the udder is clean. I just use unscented baby wipes, and I have done that for years. You can also use a dish rag, like a clean dish rag, with soap and water. And then when you milk, it's important to squirt out the first couple streams of milk. That's because if anything has entered the teat orifice, that's really where bacteria and bad flavors are going to be able to breed. So you want to get that out. A lot of the times I just spray that down onto the milking stand and throw that to the side. Now that I've gotten the first couple squirts of milk out of the teat, I'm going to put some in my taster cup. This is one of our new does. Her name is Foxy. Here's a little taste of Foxy's milk, straight out of the udder. Sweet. Sweet and delicious, almost sugar sweet. So the flavor issue is not with Foxy. It's not her favorite thing to be hand milked. I think that she was probably machine milked at her previous farm because she handles that extremely well. But hand milking, she does sort of. And when I hand milk her, she's very good at putting her foot in the bucket. And if that happens with your milk, throw it out. It's not worth keeping. There's just gonna be way too many nasties in that. I could hobble her. I have hobbles that are attached to my milk stand, but she is so small that the ropes don't reach. Straight on to the ice packs. One thing that can affect the flavor of your goat's milk is what they're eating. I have noticed that some goats will be more inclined to eat more of a certain forage than other goats. If you're feeding hay and your hay has multiple grasses or alfalfa in it, sometimes certain goats can get picky and they'll eat only certain grasses out of the bale. Some goats have a fondness for that like green onion. It's like a green onion type grass that grows in the springtime. Some people have reported when they have goats that eat a lot from those that the milk can taste oniony. I've never tasted that. What's that, babe? Elsa is our biggest goat. She's also our highest producer, so her milk has the greatest volume going in the pail and probably contributes to the most flavor. I have tasted Elsa's milk on her own before, but it's been a while, and I have recently changed feed. What I just showed you is a milk maker feed by Cobalt. Previously I was feeding just their regular goat pellet. I do know that this feed smells a lot better, so I don't necessarily think it's the feed. Let's taste Elsa's milk straight out of the udder. No, sweet, not as creamy, distinctively less creamy than Foxy's, but that is to be expected. Nigerian dwarves have ultra creamy milk almost by default. Definitely not as sweet as Foxy's either, but not Goaty's in the least bit. Don't take this bucket, man. I need to do multiple dumps of Elsa's milk. Recently, I just moved a couple of my bucks. I moved their electric netting so that it's a little bit bigger for them. There's a lot more for them to eat, but also their pen connects right to this girl pen. They can't get access to the girls as far as breeding, but they can definitely touch each other through the fence, and close proximity to a buck is another reason that goat's milk can taste goaty. I imagine it's when the bucks spray their cologne, if you know what I mean, and that cologne somehow gets on the dough. I could see how that could affect the flavor. I don't think that's what's going on here, but it's an option. Good girl. Nope, back up. So this is Breezy. She's a first freshener this year, and she's our first mini La Mancha that we bred here, that we brought into milk. I recently weaned her babies, and the stage of lactation can make a big difference in the way that the milk tastes. I find that that first milk that you get out of a doe that maybe contains a little bit of colostrum, so just within a day or two of giving birth, that tends to taste pretty goaty, but usually as the lactation continues, the quality of the milk is going to change depending on the kid's needs. And so the flavor of milk is going to change as well. I can taste distinctly more goat in Breezy's milk. It's not bad, but I can taste the fact that this came from a goat. I mean, I know it came from a goat. Like I mentioned, we recently weaned her babies, so I've been getting a lot more milk out of Breezy, I mean clearly, than I had previously. So she's contributing a lot more into the general volume that we get every day, and so her flavor is going to affect the whole pail when we pour it in. Breezy comes out of our standard goat, our standard La Mancha, Talia, and Talia grows her babies really fast. I noticed that her kids just, they grow like weeds, and so I have really just let her for the past 2 years raise her kids. She's had a couple of does for us that I've wanted to keep back. Breezy is one of them, and so that they get big enough to breed in the same year that they were born, the same fall when they were born in that spring. I've just let her raise them, and she does a really good job, but I am wondering if she makes, you know, a lot of butter fat, and that maybe, in theory, I mean, it makes sense to me, the fat in the milk may hang on to more of the flavor of the milk, good or bad. So Breezy here may have gotten that gene from her mom that produces a lot of butter fat. I don't know yet. This is just a theory. I plan on milk testing next year. For a first freshener, she has done very well on the milk stand, but I did work with her as a baby. She's not perfect, clearly, but I did make sure that when she was a baby, I handled her little non-existent baby udder, got her used to being touched, and it's definitely been paying off, that's for sure. I definitely have an aftertaste in my mouth that I didn't have after tasting the other milks. We're gonna go this way. Come on. So now we're getting into the goats that I have milked before in previous years and not noticed this flavor in previous years, but things can change. Cheers. Yummy, sugar sweet, a lot like Foxy's. They're both Nigerian dwarfs, so that checks out. On that same note, I've heard people say that breed makes a difference. I've known people that keep several different types of goats, Nigerians, Nubians, La Manchas, and they will note a distinct difference depending on the breed. Genetics probably play a role with that. I just find that very interesting. I know that our goat Margie, who is not in milk right now, every time in years past when Margie's milk has entered the milk pail, I've been able to tell both in flavor and in the amount of volume that we've gotten out of our cheeses and things that Margie's milk has now entered the pail. She is like a mini Oberhashley, mini Alpine, and her milk is a lot less flavorful. It's very, not quite watery, but it's very, very similar to store-bought cow's milk, which a lot of people would like, but for me it's a little bit disappointing because it's pretty flavorless in my opinion. So one of the things that we are looking to improve upon with Margie is her milk quality. Recently we bred her to Feral, who has a pretty good alpha casein genetic test that was done, I believe, on his mom or his dad, I can't remember, but somebody contributing to his parentage creates a good quality of milk, so we're hoping that that passes on. Christine is one of those goats that I've had and have been milking for the longest. And again, I've never noticed issues with her milk before. She is a little bit older. Christine is 9, and probably, I don't know if it's true, but I would guess since different qualities kind of decline with age, that maybe milk quality could decline with age. Let's give it a test. No, delicious, good. Not super sweet like the Nigerian, but she has a lot of depth of flavor. I really like the flavor in her milk. You can tell it's alive, if that makes sense. It's good. Christine is also giving me much more milk this year than she has in years past. In past years, she's dealt with a lot of mineral imbalances. She dealt with varying parasite issues for a little while, got all that fixed. And that's another thing that can affect milk quality, is the doe's mineral balance in her body. The goats have access to a loose mineral at all times, and as needed, if they are supplemented with copper and selenium, that helps keep everything in balance. I've heard of people giving Cobalt too. I haven't done that yet. The current milk pail is full, so I need to go get another one. It's the camera, you know what that is. And I have a fan blowing, which is different. It's okay. Elvis here is a second freshener out of Christine. Her udder has started to twist in the last probably 2 months. It's like this half tends to sit further forward than the other half. I don't really know what's up about that. I know that Elvis had the meningeal worm, the brain worm that goats can sometimes get. It comes from deer. And because of that, her back end isn't quite normal. Like, it's never going to be completely sturdy and sound. So I don't know if it's just from that and the way that she stands, or what? It hasn't affected her milkability, so that's good. She's not my favorite goat to milk. She tends to really hold on to the milk and I have to do a lot of work to get it out of her. Oh, we didn't taste it. Hang on, don't kick the bucket. Whoa. Good, sweeter than her mama's. Yummy milk. It's very close to being Nigerian quality in my opinion. So that's good. Hang on, I gotta get you. I know, different than the machine. I do not prefer to hand milk Elvis because of how much work I need to do to get the milk out. She does not have my favorite milking udder. I'm told she has really good attachments and things. So her 3 daughters that she had last year, one of them I hope is bred right now. I will be testing her blood to see if she's pregnant in a little while. But her other 2 daughters are going to be bred this fall, and so we'll see what they're all about this coming spring. Hopefully, we'll see what Fury's all about this fall, and hopefully they make some improvements upon her. What I really hope to achieve with my herd is a bunch of really awesome homestead milkers and home milkers. I don't necessarily care about having a goat that's going to be a champion in show. Obviously I want them to have nice structure and I want their udder to be healthy so that there's longevity. But ease of hand milking is a big part of what I would like to make sure that I maintain in my herd. And Elvis is kind of a booty pain, so I hope her daughters are an improvement on that. I think they will be. Usually Havoc improves that. That's their sire. He creates a nice soft udder with a maintained teat length and a nice teat orifice, which is the size of the hole that the milk comes out of. That matters a lot. All of that matters a lot with hand milking. Probably milking in general, honestly. So the last 2 goats that I bring up on the milk stand, I basically do so they can have non-competitive access to food. Both of these goats are feeding babies right now. This is Talia. She is feeding Alara. Alara is older, like she doesn't probably have to nurse, but she's one of those does that I'm keeping back, and I wouldn't mind if she's of good size this fall for breeding. I think she's gonna make it. She's big. She's a big girl. But Talia, so this is that doe that is the mom of Breezy, and I really haven't had a chance to taste her milk much in the couple years that we've had her because I've just let her raise her baby. So let's see what it's like all by itself. Ooh. Oh no. Oh, it's Talia. Bitter is not the right word, but it's not far off. This might be our problem child, and Breezy is out of Talia. Darn! Oh no! Oh no! One thing that can contribute to milk flavor is udder health. So you want to make sure that the doe doesn't have any kind of infection, and she doesn't. I'm a little bit speechless right now. Like, I want to continue milking her, but I also don't. Maybe I'll just let her raise her baby and not milk her, because that is not my favorite flavor. I'm speechless, sorry. I have a fellow YouTuber friend. Her name is Megan. It's a different Megan. The one you guys are normally used to seeing is from GWP Homestead. This Megan is from a channel and a farm called You Goat to Be Kidding Me, and it's an adorable channel name. But she recently did a video on her milking routine. I'll link it at the end of this video. It's a very good one. I really like her storage system that she has for her milk. But she specifically keeps one goat's milk to the side because it tends to go off faster than the other goat's milk, and I think that's very interesting. So I was speaking with her in her comment section, and she says that she's noticing that that particular goat's milk flavor is improving after giving a vitamin B complex injection. So I'm gonna test that theory out. She's probably not gonna like this. I'm sorry, Polly. To me, this vitamin B complex, it smells like how Cheerios smell. Probably because Cheerios are fortified, now that I think about it. We'll see, maybe that'll help. All right, girl. Clover here is a first freshener this year. She has just been nursing her 2 babies and growing them real big. We've got them in our meat goat program, so she's doing great work even though I really haven't been milking her. I am still kind of training her to be a milk goat because, like I said, she's a first freshener. She's never been exposed to this process prior to this year. And I suppose eventually I will probably wean her boys and start to collect more of her milk. Her and Elsa, my biggest goat with a great big udder, they have the same sire. So in theory, they should have some similar milk qualities, but a lot can change even with goats with the same genetics. So I'm not gonna get very much because, like I said, her boys have been drinking it all, which is fine. It's what it's for. Let's see what it tastes like. Delightful. Good. I'm glad we ended on that note as far as like the aftertaste in my mouth. Part of keeping goat's milk tasting good is, like I mentioned in the very beginning, keeping it cool and getting it cool as fast as possible. With my herd specifically and my process specifically, I have not found a need to put my milk in the freezer for an hour prior to sticking it in the refrigerator. A lot of people do that to improve the flavor of their milk, and so that is something that you can try. I have always just, like I said, put my milk on ice and then put it straight into the refrigerator. Right now, it's not like refrigerator cold right now, but it's on its way. I keep my dairy fridge particularly cold. In fact, if I put my jars in the back of the fridge, they're going to freeze. It's about 35 degrees in there, which is what I prefer, and that has worked for us in years past. So as far as our Goaty milk issue, I think we're narrowing it down, and it's not the lack of the freezer step.
Which one is this?
That's from yesterday. It's
Without?
chilled. Without Talia's. But it has breezy in it. You can still taste goat.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That is subtle.
To me, it's not super subtle. It's clearly different than what we've had for years. But I think we're onto something with the B12 or the B complex. It's good.
It did take a minute for it to like actually.
I know, it's more of an aftertaste, isn't it?
Taste Goaty, yeah. Okay.
Hi, sir. Oh, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. So yesterday, after we did our milk taste test straight out of the udder, I did a little bit more research into why the B complex injection might be helping. Or really, if it helps, why does it help and what's missing? Because goats, they produce B vitamins in their rumen as part of how they break down their feed. Why would a goat not be producing that on their own as they should? And the answer is they could be cobalt deficient. So I very briefly mentioned cobalt yesterday while we were milking the goats, and I thought that it was given to improve hair quality, and that still might be the thing, or one of the things, but it seems that it's also there to help the goats' rumen, to help their microbiome. Their microbiome inside their rumen really thrives with cobalt. They can't have a ton, like you absolutely can overdo it, but I've ordered a cobalt block for my goats because I can give the B complex injection every 4 to 6 weeks as kind of a band-aid to the problem, but I'd really like to go to the source and fix their mineral imbalance. I think that's what it is for our herd. Talia's out there grazing, but here's Breezy. And since Breezy comes out of Talia, there's a chance that Talia has been mineral deficient for a while. So in growing Breezy, she may have just not been able to provide the cobalt that Breezy needed. And Breezy herself, just by default, may be cobalt deficient. And if you guys were with us last year when Breezy was born, Breezy was my goat with a milk goiter. She had this big old bubble underneath on where her thyroid is, and that can be a sign that the goats need cobalt. This is why I think we're on the right track. Come on, baby girl, it's not you, it's me, really. I also wanted to interject in on myself here and mention some of the signs that your goat may be deficient in cobalt or B12. And it can look a lot like signs that they are wormy. So they can kind of have a less eager appetite. They can have a poor body condition. Their FOMACHA score or their anemia score can be really low. And they could just be generally unthrifty. And to be honest, this year, Talia has been my difficult keeper. So I assumed that she was just hard to keep conditioned because she puts so much into her milk. Like I said, her babies grow really, really fast. So that was my assumption. I've been trying to support her nutritionally and make sure that she doesn't have worms, but for some reason she still hasn't been able to catch up. And I think it's the lack of cobalt. I think it's the lack of B vitamins. And I really hope that this injection helps give her a boost. And then the cobalt block that I purchased, when that gets here, that brings her back into balance. So I am so grateful to my friend Megan for mentioning that to me. This is why I just love community. I'm gonna link her video on her milking routine and her milking setup up here. And if you are having a pretty sad and depressing goat milk taste situation, I hope that this is helpful.